I know that one thing that, we haven't heard a lot of conversations in the past week or so, but there are still people that ask me who paid for that trip to Paris. So can you tell me who paid for the trip to Paris?
Okay. I mean, look, let's take a step back here and talk about why it's kind of spun into a conversation where a small group of people speak about it. Um, you know, the Jersey City Times wrote an article, and as they consistently do, it tends to be misleading, not factual, with tons of anonymous sources that tend to be the editor and the publisher as the anonymous sources. If you take a step back, and if the public understood that blog, who was writing it, they would understood the biases that are there. You have one issue with his trust fund baby that's kind of been lost for a long period of time, trying to find his way, establish this because he's never really been successful in anything else. And the other one is, a failed perennial candidate for office that, has consistently tried to start business after business failed, tried to have a voice in politics, failed, and then kind of they've started this blog.
All right.
Now, here's the important thing on that is that, when you think about the Centre Pompidou, they've spun it so many different ways with so much misleading information, and being that it's a blog, it's impossible to respond to. And so what we do is when a legitimate news source asks us information, we provide it. We provided the entire itinerary for what we did. And just to be factual about that, I wish I had time for a vacation. I wish I had time for a sightseeing tour, but none of that existed. I flew out Sunday night, an overnight flight, went to the office on Monday morning, meetings all day that we provided, meetings all day on Tuesday, and then flew back 6 a.m. Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I saw the
So,
itinerary.
nobody came with me from personal life. It was entirely work. This is a transformative project for New Jersey and the region. It has major significance. It is the largest collection of modern art in all of Europe. It'll be a destination here in Jersey City, both for adults and more importantly for children around education, arts, and culture. They spend a lot of time here working with the community and the different organizations to help us put that together. And periodically, it is important that I go there just to keep the relationship going and to move this forward. I was there for 2 days. Now, who paid for it? That's an important question. And as I said earlier, not a single dollar of taxpayer dollars went towards this. In the EDC, so the Economic Development Corporation in Jersey City, during COVID, we established a fund based on private dollars to keep economic development going and support the city during COVID and post-COVID around economic development initiatives. We raised millions of dollars, we were transparent with that, and there's a couple $100,000 left focused on economic development. So entirely from the private sector, this fits consistently with what we've tried to do there, and that's the funding source. It's a nonprofit within that, and it's modeled after Choose New Jersey. So this is called Grow Jersey City, I think is what the entity is called. And that's what's funded it in the past, and there's nothing to hide around it. But when people write misinformation, it is impossible to refute that time and time again via blogs, and it's a total waste of time. So that's kind of how we got into this situation. And when people that are legitimate news sources ask, we answer. When it's blogs that repeatedly promulgate misinformation or anonymous sources, we don't. And I think that's a reasonable thing to say.
This is the nonprofit arm of the Jersey City EDC.
Yeah.
And how much was the trip, approximately?
I mean, I don't have it. I mean, everybody flies out coach. We stay in a hotel that's in close proximity to the Centre Pompidou. We're in meetings all day, and then we come home. I mean, it's not really that glamorous. I know that that blog liked to call it a junket and a trip. I mean, it's pretty far from that, to be honest with you. So, I couldn't get you the exact dollars, but you have access to that, I'm sure, and you could see the receipts and the checks, and I'd be happy to provide that. I mean, it's not a secret. That's where the entity is, and like I said earlier, there's no federal dollars as they insinuated. There's no state dollars. There's no taxpayer dollars. None of that stuff. The goal of that entity was to keep economic development going during the pandemic and post the pandemic. And that's what we're doing. And this is as vital to Journal Square as a project as anything that we have. Actually, vital to New Jersey. And so, look, I think what we're doing is, going to have a positive mark in Jersey City for the long term.